Now let's add another role. This time we'll call this the non-bikes role. So we'll give the user permission to see everything except bikes. We'll use the same group. We need to give them access to the cube. And then we'll go to dimension data. And this time we're going to select the product dimension. And here, what we're going to do is go to the Advanced tab and go to the denied member set. And we can just use the MDX builder here. Even without using MDX, we can come in and very easily just make a selection here. And notice again with the key column reference to bikes, we'll click OK. And now we have a denied member set. If we go back to basic, we can see that all of the members are selected except for bikes. So we can explicitly allow members, explicitly deny members. Now we also have a default member option here. So what we can do is decide that the users will see a specific member if we do not explicitly put categories on rows or columns. And we'll see how that works when we browse the cube. So let's set the default member here to accessories. And we can enable visual totals. Let's deploy this. And return to the cube. We'll reconnect. And notice here we're looking at the Europe role. So the Europe role can see all of the categories. Now we have the same group assigned to both roles. So when we're doing our testing, we need to select both roles during our testing as well. So we can test them individually as well as together. Now, analysis services security works differently from other security models in that if a user is in multiple groups, then the permissions that they're granted are additive. That is, whatever they can see in Europe also applies to non-bikes. So let's see what happens here when I combine Europe and non-bikes. We can still see bikes. So excluding bikes from non-bikes works when we look at non-bikes individually. Bikes is excluded. But because security is additive, as soon as I add in the Europe role, then that cancels out the exclusion of bikes. So when we're creating different roles where we want to take away permissions, we need to factor that in to our design of our roles. So for example, with the Europe role, we need to come to the product dimension here and change category to deselect all members. That way, if any other role adds back members for category and a user belongs to both roles, then they'll be able to see only those categories for which they have permissions. Let's check this. And now we see bikes is excluded, but looking at territory group, we can see all of our groups again. So we have to do the same thing in our non-bikes rule by going to the other dimension and excluding members from that rule as well. And now with group, we'll deselect all of the members here and then redeploy this. And now when we're looking at the combination of Europe and non-bikes, now we see that category correctly excludes bikes and territory correctly includes only Europe.